This is Joe. I'm at Dave's house, and about a year and a half ago Dave said, I think I'm going to put up a greenhouse, grow some of my own vegetables. I said, what do you think about putting some aquaponics over in one of the corners? Well, here it is a year and a half later, and there's not a speck of dirt to be found. The whole thing is aquaponic. Let's take a look and see what's going on inside the greenhouse with a little bit of video and some slides. Well, Dave's back on the backhoe again, but looks like we got 1.5 foot of mud to get out before we're going to get anywhere. So this is Dave, and he is digging a hole inside the greenhouse so that we can get the air tubes out of the greenhouse and into the trench. Okay, Dave, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
And here's the hole Dave made. We're at about 6 feet now. Here's the hole on the other side of the greenhouse, and it's maybe a little bit deeper. And on this side we have the pipes coming out of the greenhouse, going into the trench. And here's our 8 coils of 100-foot pipe that will be spread out into this trench so that everything's not all touching each other, and we get some good movement of temperature through the dirt. Here we have 8 pieces of drainage pipe coming up from outside in the trench. As we can see now, all the pipes are buried. Everything is underground. The end where the fan is going to go has a 55-gallon barrel put over the top of it, so we can cut a hole in the top of that and mount our fan. And at the other end of the system, the pipes are coming back into the greenhouse, laying on the floor. They're going to get buried a little bit in here so they pop up exactly where we want them to go. So now we're going to set up the fan for the heating system. The area is going to be heated just with air blown through the tubes that we've run underground already, and we're going to feed that air through with this fan. So now we're marking out where the hole's going to go in the bottom of this 55-gallon blue drum that's upside down in the ground with our pipes coming up in it.
It could come down even smaller.
And now we have, if you can see them,
Yep, there you go.
the pipes, and the air is going to go from this fan into all of those little pipes. Okay, so here we have the fan in place, and we have a piece of tubing that goes all the way up near the ceiling, which will allow the air to come from the top. Here at the other end of the greenhouse, we have the pipes spread out so that the air will blow out of them kind of evenly and blow hopefully warmer air from the earth up into the greenhouse at night. Here we have the sump tank buried in the ground. So now we have an electrical box in, comes from underground, goes all the way around this way, and comes all the way around to that other side. There's a plug there, and we got a plug there, and we got a plug over there, and we got two plugs behind me. And that will allow us to have power everywhere, along with some fluorescent lights. We also have some plumbing going in, getting from the sump tank to the fish tank. This is just temporary for the time being. Building the framework for two of the grow beds. These will be filled with stones and have an ebb and flow system. So here we have our grow bed framed out and the pieces cut to go inside. And our next step is to put in the bulkhead fittings for the drain. So we've marked a little tiny dot right where it's going to go. And now we're going to start drilling the hole. And after everything is tightened up, we'll go a little bit tighter with the pliers just to make sure we don't get any leaks. And now we're going to get the rest of the plumbing attached to it, and we will have our drain back to the sump tank. And here we have 1,800 pounds of crushed stone that we picked up at the gravel quarry. $20 for 1,800 pounds. And we just got it on this screening, and we are just hosing it. See if we can get some of the extra sand and dirt off it before we put it into our system. And here we have the grow bed full of stones. We have water coming in, and over here we have the guard keeping the stones away from the drain, and we have the water coming up, filling in the grow bed, and pretty soon the bell siphon will start to drain, and the whole system will drain down into the sump tank. And so here we can see just a little trickle coming out as the water in the top of the pipe starts to go over and start draining, and it only takes a little while before we have a complete siphon going. And here you can see the water going down inside the guard. And once the air starts to get in, we lose our siphon, and the tank starts to fill with water all over again. Here we have the drain pipe coming off the bottom of the first grow bed. And over here we have a swirl tank set up to catch the water coming out of the fish tank to separate the solids so that they don't float around in our system. We also have quite a few little goldfish swimming around down in the fish tank, helping to make fertilizer for the water so that all of our plants will thrive. Cycling your system. To get everything started so you can safely put fish in, you need to cycle your system. Your ammonia levels should be 0, your nitrate levels should be 0, and your nitrate levels should be 0. So what we've done is we've brought our ammonia levels up by adding ammonia from a bottle. The ammonia from the bottle, just a little tiny bit, a few capfuls, brought our ammonia levels up to 2 parts per million. Can even go more than that. And now we're going to sit and we're going to wait. Probably a few weeks. See you soon. So when we filled our grow beds with stones, we had a couple bags of white crushed marble chips. and we threw them in the bottom, assuming that marble was going to be okay for aquaponics. Turns out that marble is not a wonderful thing for aquaponics because it's making our pH go up, and it's been uncontrollable, and we determined that the only way we're going to get the pH down is to take the marble chips out. So now we are completely emptying this grow bed because we put them on the bottom, and cleaning out the marble chips. Okay, so full disclosure, we did take stones from this grow bag. You'll notice those are much lighter in color and these are a little bit darker. And we brought 5 gallons of stones from here to Dave's house, and took 5 gallons of stones from his house and brought them here. And that gave a jump start to the bacteria growing and saved us probably 2.5, 3 weeks on cycling. So it's been about 5 weeks now, and our system seems to be cycled out pretty good. We have no ammonia left. We have added a few times. We have no nitrites left, and all of our bacteria has succeeded in making nitrogen, that wonderful plant food that this whole system needs. Pretty soon, it's fish. So here we have Dutch buckets that we're laying out. We will be spacing them 32 inches apart, and 32 inches apart in a second row. They will be staggered. Tomatoes will be in the front, that will be taller, and stuff like peppers or eggplant or some squash will be in the back ones, and they'll grow shorter so we can reach through to get them. We've used 4 J hangers for the drainage pipe, and now we're going to lay the pipe into the hanger. So now we have the main plumbing drain for the Dutch buckets set in place between the 2 rows. We are going to drill the holes now for where the drains from each bucket will go. What we're going to do is we are going to line up the first hole with our Dutch bucket at the very end, and we're going to line our first hole up, and we're going to drill that hole. And then we're going to measure 16 inches on center for every other hole going down, and then drill the holes out. Time to get the tape measure. Each bucket's going to get a grommet put in it, and then we're going to add a piece of pipe with an elbow on the inside. A little bit of olive oil actually on the pipe, and that will help it slide in nice and easy. Or not. So now all the drainage is done. All of the buckets are plumbed, so they all have drainage into the main drain, and the pipes go underground over to the sump tank, and we even got the feed run underground, so now we can bury this. Tomorrow when we get back, we'll start putting the feed on the top of all the buckets. Okay, the Dutch buckets are all plumbed in. The drain's connected, the feed is connected. The only thing left to do is put in some stones and put in some plants. So today after work, we got framework up to hang 6 grow towers for strawberries. They're going to be above the fish tank, draining right into the fish. And now it's time to make some grow towers. First thing we did was get an end cap or a coupler and put 3 black dots evenly spaced. Then they get slid onto our pipe, and then from that black dot we continue a straight line all the way down the pipe. Once we got to the end, we spaced out 9 inches and we put in a cut at 9 inches, and then the pipe gets heated and we're using a wine bottle to make the hole round so that a net cup will fit in it. So we heat the pipe to melt the plastic, make it nice and soft, trying not to burn it and get black marks all over it. Something that I'm learning not to be really great at. And now the bottle goes in the hole at an angle and set to cool. Once we get it in the right place, we give it a little bit of water. Everything cools down a bit. We check it for size with one of the net cups. Everything fits good. In this one we have a few holes done already. And after a little bit of practice, first one is completely made, hung, and ready to go. First set of grow towers is complete. We have the plumbing pipes coming up. We have shutoffs, 3 for this side and 3 for over on the other side. Water is now flowing, and we can see that inside we've got water coming down nicely, and into the fish tank we can see the water draining out of the end of the pipes and creating a little bit of agitation. The green beans have had another week to go, and they've got flowers on them, and the strawberries have been in the towers for about a week, and we'll just let the strawberries speak for themselves. And they're a little bit hard to see, but we now have some goldfish swimming around in the bottom of the fish tank. So we did something wrong, because strawberries that were planted happy and healthy in about a month's time are not happy and healthy anymore. Although everything else out here seems to be doing pretty well, strawberries just don't seem to be. Now we got to figure out why. Now that summer is partway over, we're coming along. We've got some nice peppers growing over here on the tomato plants. The tomato plants are doing well. We have quite a few tomatoes that we've picked already during the summer, and we've got more coming. The temperatures, the days are starting to get a little bit shorter, and looks like Dave has cleaned out most of the ripe ones. We have eggplant growing nicely. We got some here, another one coming in down here. Over here we got another pepper plant growing. Little bit of radishes, some broccoli that we just started for fall crop, some pepper plants that are growing, and over here we got some more green beans coming in. No green beans on them yet, but they're only a couple weeks old. One strawberry plant that survived, and we think that we figured out the problem. It got too hot in the greenhouse over the summer for strawberries. Next step, we level the area where the grow bed is going to go and start the deep water culture. For the frame of our grow bed, we made an H. We added a support in the middle, and then we added a piece across the bottom so that the weight of this isn't just on a 2x4-inch square. It's against the whole bottom of the 2x4. That way it's distributed a little evenly so we don't get it sinking into the ground. For the sides and the end, what we've done is taken 2x12 and screwed a piece of 2x4 underneath it, and there'll also be a piece of 2x4 in the middle that will support our plywood. And here we have pretty much a finished grow bed. Some water and some mats to fit on the top of it. So now we have a deep water grow bed. The pond liner is in. We've got water flowing from the other system. We're going to have two separate systems, but we figured that if we ran some water from the other system, we could get some of the good bacteria that is in that system into this system so that it'll cycle faster. Here we have our second fish tank, which is connected to a grow bed that's deep water culture with the sump tank underneath it. It overflows into a swirl tank, out of the swirl tank and into a secondary finishing tank, if you will, then returns back to the sump tank. When those filters get dirty, we can drain them into this blue tank, which will take all of the solids and break it down, and as it breaks down and becomes liquid again, we can drain that back into the system.